Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We have some really positive things to talk about, exciting things to talk about. But before I go into the great future of David Pfeifle and his family, there are just a couple things that I'd really want to utilize this time to try to help educate the people of Sioux Falls, probably most importantly, about the city attorney role. And so if you wouldn't mind just bearing with me just a little bit. First of all, I think the role that David has served so admirably over the last 7.5 years, folks, it may be the most difficult Sioux Falls city government role that we have. And I also strongly believe it's probably the most misunderstood role in government as well. There's a misunderstanding amongst some that really the city attorney, and yes, over the last 7.5 years, we've been blessed with David in the role. There's a misunderstanding that basically that city attorney only supports the executive branch of government. Nothing can be further from the truth. And in fact, certainly the city attorney represents and tries to support the administration, the executive role of government. They certainly do a really good job representing the legislative branch, or yes, the city council and their team. But most importantly, and I think the thing that folks need to understand, is that the city attorney and that legal team over there, what they do is their primary role, and the thing that they're so passionate about, and the thing that ultimately they are they must do, and that is they represent the citizens of Sioux Falls, the city of Sioux Falls. That is their primary responsibility, and at the same time, you have to understand, because that is their primary responsibility, it's incredibly demanding. Just about everything that we do in the city of Sioux Falls, our legal team has some involvement with it. It's just about everything. David and his team, they're involved with all 12 departments, all of the things that are going on within those departments, along with the city council, the legislative branch. They're involved in all those activities. And so much more. At the same time, remember, there is the executive branch, there's a legislative branch, and then there is this judicial branch of city government. And that's what the city attorney and those folks are most concerned with. They have to interface with a bevy of legal minds. And again, I want to kind of give some context on that, Sioux Falls. City legal minds, state legal minds, yes, federal legal minds, and then it's not just those in the public sector, the government sector, but certainly they engage so many legal minds in the private sector as well. And then you throw on the fact that they're also there to represent and yes, listen to and work with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, citizens. Not only people that live here, but a number of people that visit here or work here. That is certainly a challenging role. And then you throw on this. And before I bring David up, I want to get folks kind of an understanding of something else that I just think is so misunderstood. And that is the legal team. They are responsible for adhering to and executing the laws, not only of the city, not only of the state, not only of the county, not only of but also the federal government, the codes, the policies, and yes, the Sioux Falls City Charter. That is what they do. And there's so many times in their role where they're asked, well, just David or legal team, that just doesn't make sense. Or why don't you just do it this way, because then, we'd understand better why you did what you did, or why you recommended what you recommended. Folks, David and the legal team, the city attorney, and those good women and men that are serving, they didn't create the laws. They didn't create the policies. They didn't write the charter. But they are helping us execute it as best they can. And for that, I want to thank David. I'm going to talk about him more, but I also want to thank our legal team as well. So let's talk about David Pfeifle. Let's just talk about him a little bit. I have worked with just a bevy of legal minds over my years in business and now in government. Coming into this, I had heard that David was recognized as one of the strongest legal people that you're going to find. And after working with him 7.5 years, it's true. It's true. I've been so impressed with David Pfeifle, and folks, I just need you to understand, you don't know how fortunate that we've been to have David leading our city attorney's team. He has had to lead and tackle so many challenges over the last 7.5 years, and also, if there's an opportunity that we've conquered, David's had a role in it. If there's an issue that we've overcome, David has had a role in it. And the event center, the rail yard redevelopment project, pension reform, the new indoor pool, millions and millions and countless millions of infrastructure projects. Yep, all those boring things that were going on below the ground, and yes, some of those things that were getting more attention above the ground. David was involved in it. Record growth. We are growing as a city faster than almost any city in the country. And it has been David and, yes, his team that has helped us stay one step ahead of that growth and do it in just such a grand way. 4 years of record-breaking construction. You can't imagine how busy David and these folks have been just to try to keep up with these dreamers, these investors, these builders, these folks that have really helped to make that a reality. And Mike Cooper, I want to thank you for being here as well today to acknowledge David. Numerous elections. At a minimum, we do an election in this city every 2 years. And then when you do have numerous elections, the reality is, and the harsh reality is that you are bringing all these unique personalities into the role to serve the people of Sioux Falls. And guess what? We are all unique. Every city councilor that serves, they bring their own unique perspective, their own unique backgrounds, their own unique goals. And it is David that truly has been kind of the glue to kind of bring them all together, including with the executive branch, to try to help us really have one of the best city governments in the country. And I know that we have. City directors. He is the primary interface when it involves working with our city directors on capturing these opportunities or dealing with these challenges. And yes, flat out, I don't know if David recognized this going in, but he has certainly had to work with this unique mayor, a mayor that has truly been on a crusade to get things done. And when you have a mayor like that, the work, the toil, yes, some pain that David has had to endure, it is real. And that is something that I will never forget. And I would just ask the people of Sioux Falls to remember him. I am so proud of David Pfeifle and his team, and I'm so honored to have the ability to serve with them. David Pfeifle is the real deal, folks. He is. Certainly, he's got this legal mind that God has graced him with, this intelligence that has certainly served him and served others so well. He's so well respected in the legal community. He's such a good person, and that's the thing that's so hard, is that sadly, as David has worked so hard over the last 7.5 years to serve in the most admirable way, to do things right for the citizens, do things right for the city that he absolutely loves and cares for at the highest level. Sadly, there are entities, there are people who have attacked him personally as well as professionally. This is a man that he understood that coming in, and he handled it with just unbelievable grace. Probably a lesson for all of us as we try to earn the honor to serve, and then if so blessed, then try to serve as best we can, just like David Pfeifle has done. I wish David Pfeifle and his family absolutely nothing but the best, and not only professionally, David, but well beyond that. I wish him the best in the days that he is yet to come. I am going to answer questions in terms of what we'll do next. But before I do that, I do want to give David the opportunity to try to help us understand, hey, David, what are you going to be doing? How are you going to be, improving the lives of others and making a difference with the day that you are given? So, David Pfeifle, everybody.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mayor, for those very kind, but I don't know if undeserved or not words for me. I certainly, on behalf of the entire attorney team, we as a team will take the credit. I work with 14 other dedicated public servants who are committed to providing the best legal work for this city, and I'm simply the face of the franchise. I'm honored to be that, but the credit all goes to them. Lawyers don't really build bridges. We don't build roads. What we do as our lasting legacy is the work we do for others. Over my adult life, I've been striving to be a lawyer statesman in the communities in which I've served. I've had the pleasure of serving as legal counsel for several public servants, dedicated public servants across our state, and it has truly been an honor. And frankly, they've been consistently my favorite clients. In 2010, I had a unique opportunity, and I had this mayor take a chance on an unknown guy. We were from opposite political parties. We didn't know each other at all. The only thing I think we found out is our ancestors had homesteaded in Hutchinson County probably about the same time Germans coming over here. So as far as we knew, that was the only bond we had beforehand, but it's been an honor to serve the mayor among many others. In preparing for this role, I was so fortunate to know and to talk to and consult with all of my predecessors, a very unique position for me. I knew Roger Schager from church since the time I was a kid. Roger Schager held this role as city attorney for 25 years, and Roger was so giving of his time and his insight, and I will forever thank Roger for all the insight he gave me to help serve the city better. I actually knew Janet Brecky for a number of years. I was a partner with her husband in a law practice. Janet was actually a former client of mine, and I learned so much from Janet as well. Gary Caldwell, I knew for over 20 years before I got here. I was so honored to give Gary's eulogy when he died a few years ago. I admired Gary beyond belief. And finally, Justice Robert Amundson served just before I did. I can't count even into the triple digits how many times that Justice Amundson and I talked. He consulted, he coached me. I'm a Norwegian, I needed a lot of mentoring, but I think it got through eventually. I want to thank all those brilliant legal minds who helped me take this position and made it far easier. This summer, an opportunity arose that not only I could serve our community, but also our entire state. There's something called the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance, and it is basically a risk-sharing pool. Think of it as an insurance company for counties, cities, and other local governments. This position was advertised on June 7th. I applied shortly after that. I went through a series of about 3 interviews and was finally offered the position subject to the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance Board of Directors approval, and I received that yesterday. I've seen some barbs in the newspapers and elsewhere about that Mike Hall and Tracy Turback are on the board of directors of the pool. I want you all to know that Mike Hall, I informed him I was applying. He immediately recused himself from the selection process, so those are simply unwarranted. The last 7.5 years, I've made so many great friendships and had a chance to work with hundreds of wonderful people within city government. I simply can't name them all. You recognize that, but you all know who you are. First, I'm going to thank all my coworkers and friends in the city attorney's office. I'll really miss working with them. They're a wonderful team. They made me look great. What better? I had a unique opportunity in transitions where actually I was, out of the 8 attorneys, 6 of the 8 of us came in with me. I'm one of them, but yeah, 6 of the 8 of us was me. So we completely transformed how we operate, and they deserve all the credit, not me. Second, I want to say I'll miss the hundreds of other city employees that I got a chance to work with. The easiest ones to name are the first responders. And my first thought is always the 19 firefighters who were crawling through the debris of a collapsed building, risking their own lives to save a victim of that collapse, and they were able to save her. What a miraculous thing to be a small part of. It's just simply amazing. We have hundreds of police officers every day putting themselves in harm's way. They're our heroes, not me, not any of us in leadership. Those are our heroes. And it was an honor to serve with them. All the other city employees throughout this government that were doing so many wonderful things and for our public, it was an honor to facilitate and help make their jobs happen. That's really what lawyers do. But third, and just as important, the 9 elected officials. The mayor touched on the barbs that you take as a city attorney. It pales in comparison to what the elected officials take. At any given time, you probably have 45% of the community that doesn't like the decisions you make. You're going to be subject to constant criticism. It's always a struggle to get people to want to run for elective office and hold those positions, and they also are my heroes, all 9 of them, because it takes a lot of guts to serve in that role and to put up with a city attorney that tells them when they're doing something wrong. But Maya Angelou once said that people aren't going to remember the things you did or the things that you said, but how you made them feel. I hope in my 7.5 years here that all my fellow city employees, all my client constituents, as the law says, feel like I made a difference in their lives. It's been an honor to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, there is an unanswered question that I'm going to try my best to answer now, and that is, all right, Mayor, now that David is leaving after 7.5 years of just tremendous service, what are you going to do next in terms of with that role? I'm not planning on appointing a new city attorney. I only have about 7-8 months yet to serve. And so, in my mind, the the most common sense thing to do, and yes, the most appropriate thing to do, will be to allow the next mayor, whether it be a she or whether it be a he, to appoint the next city attorney. I think that's the most professional thing to do, and certainly the most prudent thing to do. Not only because I think that mayor deserves that opportunity. However, in the meantime, I do have extreme confidence that this role that I've talked about, that is so unbelievably important, and this team that's so important to us getting things done and serving the city as a whole. In the meantime, I do have extreme confidence in our Deputy City Attorney, Karen Leonard. She and the rest of the team, they certainly will have to take it up a notch over the remaining tenure of my term. But they will certainly support the citizens in just an extreme confident way. And they'll not only serve the citizens, they'll continue to serve the council, the legislative branch, and yes, the executive branch. But again, we'll let the next mayor appoint the next city attorney.